Good afternoon, my name is Sean, and the claim I am going to be refuting about is nuclear energy is the most practical form of energy generation. So the opponent's secondary claims were nuclear reaction can be used anywhere, nuclear reactors produce useful byproducts, and nuclear power is the cheapest on a large scale. So my response to his first secondary claim, which was nuclear reactors can be used anywhere, is that the statement is too broad. For example, he provides evidence from the World Nuclear Association saying that the US Navy has accumulated over 6,200 reactors years of accident-free experience, and he briefly explains how nuclear reactors can be used in space instead of talking more about what he mentioned, how it is used underground and under the ocean. So according to his evidence on his first secondary claim, the word anywhere seemed to be an incorrect word choice for his first claim, because the word anywhere, I believe that it had two meanings of whether it could mean around the world, which he is not meaning to say. So which brings up to my counterclaim is that from the article, Australia has missed the boat on nuclear power by Colette Latimer. This article states how Australia was banned from nuclear power since the year of 1988 because of the harming accident that occurred in Japan in Fukushima that led to Australia's ban. So for my response to his secondary claim, which was nuclear reactors produce useful byproducts, is that he provides all his evidence talking about byproducts influencing spacecraft and not about what he mentioned also, medicine and agriculture. To add on to his claim, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations estimates about 95 million people, which is approximately 1 in 9, were suffering from chronic undernourishment in the year of 2014 and 2016. I believe that he provided a great amount of information talking specifically about the usage of uranium as a fuel and plutonium as a radioisotope to support his claim about how these byproducts are extremely useful to society, but lack the information about how byproducts influence about medicine and agriculture. So my response to his final secondary claim, which was that nuclear power is the cheapest on a large scale, is that it is leaning towards more of the biased point of view. He, however, starts his claim by putting an understanding point of view by saying the cost of one nuclear power plant is the range of billions of dollars. After this statement, he starts talking about how efficient nuclear power is with the amount of money that is needed to spend. However, from the article, What's Wrong with Nuclear Power from the World Information Service of Energy, they state that nuclear power plants are extremely expensive and are hard to finance. Only when supported by public money a nuclear power station is built, and it is impossible to insure your nuclear facility on a private market. The Fukushima disaster in Japan is estimated to cost at least $143 billion. The nuclear disaster in Japan has tragically demonstrated how unsafe nuclear power can be. The chance that a major accident happens is maybe slim, but the consequences are devastating. So my counterclaim was that nuclear power can be expensive, but you are also taking a risk into something that can happen even more seriously and providing the society to lose economically instead of prospering economically. Thank you.
All right, still sticking with the solid stuff on the structure. That part's good. The criticism of the first point seems to be that the argument is too broad and it's unclear what the inference is. I can appreciate that. The documentation that we've got all of these nuclear reactor hours based on Navy times and use in space. I guess that's interesting, but how does it document that as an energy source it's going to be effective or practical? I think that there's a good question there. You get kind of bogged down in this notion of what's meant by anywhere. I think you're taking that concept too literally. Probably they are suggesting that it is something that doesn't require special resources. It doesn't have to be next to the ocean. It doesn't have to be out in the desert. It doesn't have to be at the top of the Himalayas where the wind's blowing all the time. In essence, it's an argument about where the location could be. You kind of take it a little bit more literally and suggest, oh, that's not true because Australia has banned nuclear power. And I think that kind of misses the point here. I was also a little bit confused because if Australia banned nuclear power in 1988 and the Fukushima meltdown happened in 2009, something like that. That seems like they were off, they had great foresight to anticipate that this was going to be a problem. I'm not sure how that information came together. It seems inconsistent. On the byproduct argument, I'm completely befuddled as to where the 95 million people who are undernourished have any relationship to what's going on with the byproducts that are used in space. And there's a discussion about food and agriculture, and I don't know what I'm supposed to know about this. I don't know what I'm supposed to know. I don't know what your position is. I don't know what the advocate's position is. If you want to talk about ambiguity, this is a good example of ambiguity. I can't tell what claim is being made by the advocate and what your response means to that claim. So it's kind of a wash there. On the argument about it being cheapest, I thought you did a pretty good job suggesting that it's expensive to build in the first place. It's problematic to get it financed. This was the one place where you had some good information that was related to a couple of the things they're talking about. The Fukushima disaster cost $143 billion in recovery issues, which probably has turned a lot of people off from investing in those things. I get that makes a little bit more sense. So the expense issue and the risk issue get to be the things that you're arguing for or about at the end. And I thought that the expense issue was the one that you documented the most. The risk issues, obviously, we have an example of what the risk was, at least from an economic point of view. How much it mitigates the advocate's claim on the first point and the second point, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still not sure what the second point means. All right, thank you.